If you're still listening, if you can still hear my voice, then maybe you've survived longer than most. Or maybe you're just waiting for the cold to take you. Either way, I'll keep talking. Because someone has to. The first thing you notice isn't the cold. It's the silence. The way the world just stops. No wind, no birds, no distant hum of traffic. Just the weight of frozen air pressing down on everything. Even inside the station, I can feel it creeping in. The heat from the generators can only fight so much. Outside, it's already too late. It started like any other storm. A cold front moving in from the north. Just another winter. That's what they told us. That's what we believed. And then the snow started falling, and it didn't stop. First, it was measurable. Inches. Feet. Then it became something else. A wall of white, swallowing the world whole. Cities vanished overnight. New York. London. Tokyo. Gone. No evacuation. No warning. Just, buried. Like they were never there. The reports kept coming. The kind of news that doesn't make sense. Snowstorms in the Sahara. Ice sheets forming over the Gulf of Mexico. Entire countries going dark. The scientists had explanations. Something about the jet stream collapsing. The Gulf Stream shutting down. Something about the Earth resetting itself. But explanations don't help when you're freezing to death. I remember the last normal day. People still went to work. Shops were still open. Nobody thought about the cold. Nobody thought about the warnings. Not until the frost reached their doors. Not until the power grids failed. Not until their cars wouldn't start. Their homes wouldn't keep warm. Their food turned to ice in their hands. Not until the sky turned white and stayed that way. I step to the window. Wipe away the layer of frost. Can't see more than 10 feet ahead. Everything is just white. The streets, the buildings, the sky. No shape, no color. Just emptiness, just cold. And somewhere out there, buried under layers of ice and snow, the rest of the world is dying. If you're listening, I need you to tell me something. Send a message. Let me know what it looks like where you are. Because I think we're losing everything. And I don't know how much longer I can hold on. If you're still out there, if you can still hear me, then maybe you're one of the lucky ones. Or maybe you're just like me. A voice in the snow, waiting for the cold to take you. The storm hasn't stopped. Not in hours. Not in days. Maybe not in weeks. I don't know anymore. Time has started slipping. The sun barely rises now. And when it does, it's just a pale glow behind the clouds. Like it's trying to break through the ice but can't. Like it's too far away to help us anymore. I've lost count of how many stations have gone silent. One by one, the voices disappeared. At first, I thought it was technical. Power failures. Signal interference. But now I know the truth. They're not just offline. They're gone. Yesterday. Or maybe the day before. I still had one signal left. A station up north. A guy named Elliot. He was still broadcasting. Still holding on. And then, his signal cut out mid-sentence. Not static, not interference. Just nothing. I tried reaching him again. No response. Just silence. Like he was never there at all. The snow is worse than before. It's not just falling anymore. It's piling, pressing, crushing. The station's antenna is barely visible now. If this keeps up, if I don't find a way to dig it out, I'll be buried too. And then, there won't be anyone left to talk. If you're still listening, send me something. A message, a voice, anything. Because I think I'm the only one left. If you're still listening, if anyone's still listening, then I need you to know something. The world is going quiet. Not just the people, not just the voices. Everything. And I don't think we can bring the sound back. The whiteout hasn't lifted. It's not a storm anymore. It's the new world. The snow doesn't fall in flakes. It moves in waves, rolling through the streets, swallowing everything whole. The wind doesn't howl. It presses down, like it's trying to smother whatever's left. I can't see the sky. I can't see the ground. It's just white. Everywhere. And somewhere in that emptiness, the last voices are going silent. I had signals yesterday. Not strong, not clear, but voices. A man in Nova Scotia, a woman in Montana, someone still alive in Berlin. They were weak, fading in and out, but they were there. Tonight, gone. No static, no interference, just nothing. Like the cold finally swallowed them whole. I turn the dials, cycle through every frequency, try every backup channel. Nothing, just the hum of dead air, the sound of a world freezing in real time. Then, a voice. It's weak, distant, barely there. A whisper caught in the ice. I lean in, adjust the frequency, try to pull them closer. The voice cracks. Words break apart in the static, but I can still hear them. Please. Is anyone there? Please, I'm trapped. Static. If you can hear me, I'm still alive. My family. Silence. I press the mic. Hello? I hear you. Where are you? Are you safe? Can you? The signal cuts out. I try again. Nothing. The voice is gone. Like they were never there. I sit back. Close my eyes. Try to breathe. This is how it goes. First, you hear them. Then you lose them. Then you realize you were never talking to anyone at all. Just ghosts. Echoes in the ice. Fading. Like the rest of us. If you're listening, if you're still out there, don't stop talking. Because the moment we go quiet, that's when we lose. If you're still listening, if you're still alive, then I need you to know something. The cold isn't the worst part. It's the silence. And what's hiding inside it. The last signal is gone. No more voices. No more static. Just the low hum of dead air. Like the world itself is holding its breath. Waiting. Watching. Listening. I should stop searching. I should stop waiting for someone to answer. But I can't. Because if I stop, then maybe I'm already gone too. The station is colder than before. The generator is still running, but it's struggling. The lights flicker. The air hangs heavy. And outside is nothing but white. An endless, shifting void. I used to be able to see the street, the buildings. Now the snow has buried it all. I tried opening the door earlier. The cold nearly took my hand. The ice is creeping in through the cracks, pushing under the door frame, crawling up the walls. Like it's alive. Like it's looking for something warm to hold on to. A new message. The first in days. I don't recognize the sender. No name. No location. Just a single line. Don't listen to the static. I stare at the screen. My fingers hover over the keys. I type. What do you mean? No response. Just the same empty screen. Waiting. Just like me. The radio hums, a soft, slow drone. At first, I think it's nothing. Just another broken signal. Then, something shifts. The hum rises, like a voice just out of reach. Like a whisper pressed against the ice. I lean in, turn the volume higher, and I swear, I hear my own name. If you're listening, if you can hear this, tell me I'm not losing my mind. Tell me the static isn't speaking. Because I think something else is in the signal. And I don't think it wants to talk. If you're still out there, if you're still listening, then maybe you understand what's happening. Maybe you've seen it too. The way the cold isn't just a storm anymore. The way it moves, the way it spreads, the way it takes things and doesn't give them back. The snow keeps falling, but it doesn't feel random. It's piling up in the wrong places, filling the streets faster than it should, like it's being pushed, like something beneath it is moving. And the worst part, I think it's closing in. The last messages stopped 2 days ago. The last voice went quiet before that, but the radio is still picking something up. Not static, not interference. Something else. Something beneath the frequency. I adjust the dial, fine-tune the signal, try to pull it in, and for a moment, just a moment, I swear I hear breathing. Not mine, not from inside the station, from the radio itself. Slow, steady, like something is on the other end. Listening, waiting, new message. No name, no location, just 2 words. It knows. I stare at the screen. My hands are cold. My breath fogs the air. I type back, what knows? No answer, just dead air. I stand up, step to the window, wipe the frost away. Try to see anything beyond the white. But there's nothing left. The world is gone. Just a wall of ice, stretching into forever. And somewhere inside it, something is moving. If you're listening, if you can hear this, then tell me one thing. Tell me the world is still there. Because I think we lost it. And I think something else took its place. If you're still listening, if you can still hear this broadcast, then maybe you've seen what I'm seeing now. Maybe you've looked outside and realized the world isn't just frozen. It's changed. The land doesn't look right anymore. The horizon is gone. I step back from the window. The glass is layered in frost, thick enough to turn it into a mirror. I wipe it away. Look out at the world again. And for a long moment, I don't recognize what I see. There's no city anymore. No streets. No skylines in the distance. The world shouldn't be this empty. Even with the snow. Even with the storm. But it's just white. A vast, unbroken plain of ice. Featureless. Like the earth itself has been erased. I've been looking at this same street for years. I know the layout, the roads, the landmarks. But now it's just gone. The buildings should be there. Even if they were buried, they'd still be there. But they aren't. And I don't know how that's possible. I turn the dial on the radio. Try to find something. Anything. But the airwaves are empty. Not even static anymore. Like the world ran out of sound. New message. No name. No location. Just one sentence. Look up. I hesitate. Something about those words digs into me, makes my stomach tighten. But I step away from the console, move toward the door, and for the first time in days, maybe weeks, I step outside. The cold nearly kills me. The moment the air hits my skin, it feels like knives cutting through my jacket, through my bones. I barely make it down the steps, but I do. And then I tilt my head, and I look up. The sky isn't there anymore. Not like it should be. Not like I remember. There's no stars, no moon, no clouds. Just light. A soft, pulsing glow. Like something deep beneath the ice is reflecting back. Like the sky isn't empty. Like it's become a mirror. If you're listening, tell me something. Has the sky changed for you too? Because I think we're seeing the end of the world. And it doesn't look the way we thought it would. If you're still listening, if you're still breathing, then tell me something. Does the sky look the same where you are? Because I don't think it belongs to us anymore. I stand in the open. The The cold burns my lungs. The air is too thin, too sharp. Like I'm standing somewhere I shouldn't be. Somewhere that isn't Earth anymore. But I can't go back inside. Not yet. Not until I understand. The sky pulses. A soft, pale light. Not moonlight. Not sunlight. Something else. Like the ice itself is reflecting something hidden above it. Something massive. Something alive. The world was supposed to freeze over, not disappear. Even with an ice age, the mountains should still be there. The rivers. The valleys. But it's just blank. Like the planet is being rewritten. Like the ice isn't just covering things. It's replacing them. New message. No name. No location. Just 2 words. It's open. I don't like that. I don't like any of this. Because open means something came through. Or something is waiting to. I step back inside. Shut the door. Lock it. Not that it matters. Not that a door can stop the cold. Not that I believe I'm safer in here. But I need to sit down. I need to think. Because if the ice isn't just freezing things, if it's erasing them, then what happens when it finally reaches me? If you're still listening, if you can still hear me, then tell me something. Does the world still look like the world where you are? Or are you starting to forget what it used to be? I used to know this place. Every street, every building, every crack in the pavement. But now I don't even recognize my own window. Because there's something out there. Something frozen in the ice that shouldn't be there. The world is still white. Still buried beneath a cold that never stops moving. But now I see shapes. At first, I thought they were buildings. Buried skyscrapers. Collapsed bridges. The skeletons of a world that used to exist. But when the light shifts, when the ice glows beneath that strange pulsing sky, I see the truth. These aren't our cities. They never were. The structures are wrong. Too tall. Too thin. Made from stone I've never seen before. With angles that don't make sense. Like they were built for something that doesn't move like us. That doesn't live like us. I thought the ice was covering the world. But now I think it's revealing something instead. Something that was always here. Buried. Waiting. And now that the cold has taken everything else, it's coming back. New message. No name. No location. Just a question. Are you dreaming yet? I don't answer. I turn off the screen. Because I don't want to admit it. I don't want to say it out loud. That when I close my eyes, I see them too. If you're still out there, if you're still trying to survive, tell me if you've seen them too. Tell me if the world is still ours where you are. Because I think we lost it a long time ago. I thought the ice was still. I thought it was just cold and empty. But I was wrong. Because something is moving beneath it. And I don't think it's human. The silence was the first warning. The way the wind stopped howling. The way the frost hung in the air like it was waiting for something. Then came the vibrations. Subtle at first. A faint tremor beneath my feet. Like the world itself was breathing. Like something deep under the ice was shifting. I thought it was my imagination. A trick of the cold. The kind of paranoia that sets in when you've been alone for too long. But then I heard it. A sound. Low. Distant. Like whale song, but wrong. A deep, resonating hum that rattled the walls. Something alive. Something massive. Something that's been trapped down there for a long time. The ice should be solid. Nothing should be able to move under it. But I swear, when I pressed my ear to the ground, I felt something shift. Like a tide rolling beneath the surface. Like something waking up. New message. No name. No location. They're not buried. They're waiting. I push back from the console. I don't answer. Because I don't want to know who sent that. I don't want to think about what it means. Because if they're waiting, then that means they know we're here. That means they've been listening too. If you're still listening, if you're still fighting to stay warm, tell me if you've heard it too. Because I think the ice isn't just hiding something. I think it's keeping something in. For weeks, all I've seen is white. Endless, unbroken ice stretching past the horizon, swallowing the world piece by piece. But today I saw something else. A crack. And I don't think it's natural. I don't know how long I stared at it. At first, I thought it was just a shift in the ice. Something small. Something that happens when the world freezes over. But when I looked closer, I realized something was wrong. It wasn't just a crack. It was a scar. A deep, jagged wound stretching across the landscape, like the earth itself was splitting apart. And from deep inside it, something moved. I didn't see it. Not directly. But I felt it. A shift in the air. A low vibration under my feet. A sensation that made my skin crawl. Like something was stirring. Like something had been waiting beneath the ice. And now it was waking up. I thought the cold was the enemy. I thought if I could just stay warm, if I could just hold out long enough, I'd survive. But now I think I was wrong. Now I think the cold was keeping something else down. And the deeper the cracks get, the closer it gets to breaking free. The radio crackles. For a moment, I think I've picked up a voice. A survivor. Someone's still alive out there. But it's not a voice. Not really. It's a tone. A frequency I can't place. Low. Pulsing. Like a heartbeat buried deep beneath the ice. And as I listen, I realize it's not just noise. It's a pattern. Something repeating. Something trying to get through. New message. No name. No location. Just one line. Don't listen too long. I step back, turn the volume down. Because suddenly I feel watched. Like something is aware of me. Like something on the other end of that signal is listening back. If you're still out there, if you're still fighting to stay warm, tell me if you've seen the cracks. Tell me if the ice is breaking where you are too. Because I think something is coming through. For weeks, everything has been ice and darkness. The world buried beneath layers of cold, stretching further than I can comprehend. But today, for the first time, I saw something else. Light. And it's coming from beneath the ice. I don't know how long I've been awake. I don't sleep much anymore. It's not just the cold. It's the silence. The kind that makes you feel like you're the last person left on Earth. The kind that makes you wonder if you're already dead. But tonight, the silence broke. I was sitting in front of the console, turning the dial, trying to pick up something. Even static. Even a trace of another voice. Anything to remind me I'm not broadcasting into nothing. And then, the lights flickered. Not in the station. Not from my equipment. Outside. Through the window. Beneath the snow. A faint pulsing glow. Not the pale, dead blue of ice. Not the flicker of a failing street lamp. Something else. Something deep. Something alive. I didn't believe it at first. My eyes are tired. My mind is playing tricks on me. But when I stepped outside, when I put my hand on the ice, I felt it. Warm. I almost pulled away. I should have. But instead, I pressed my palm against the frost, felt the pulse beneath it. The ice was still thick, still solid. But for the first time since this all began, it wasn't cold. It was changing, melting, opening. New message. no name, no location. Do not go closer. I stare at the screen. I don't answer, because I already know they're right. I already know I made a mistake, because now I'm not just watching the light. Now it's watching me. The pulsing changes. The glow flickers, stretches. Shapes move in the deep. Not shadows, not tricks of the mind. Real. Shifting beneath the ice. Shifting toward me. I can't see them yet, but I feel them. Like something is pushing against the frozen barrier between us. Like it's been waiting for the cracks to spread. Waiting for a way out. If you're still listening, if you can still hear me, tell me if you've seen it too. Tell me if the ice is glowing where you are. Because I think we were never alone under this snow. I don't know how long I've been staring at it. At first it was just a glow. Something faint. Something buried too deep to matter. But now it's moving. And I think it knows I'm watching. The cold doesn't feel the same anymore. It's not sharp and empty. Not dead. It's alive. Shifting. Pulling. Like the ice itself is breathing. Like it's stretching and waking up. And whatever's underneath, it's waking up too. I step back from the window. My hands are shaking. Not from the cold. From something else. Because as the light pulses, as it flickers and grows stronger, I see shapes. Not shadows. Not tricks of the mind. Real. Moving. I thought the ice was solid. I thought whatever was buried beneath it was gone, long before we ever got here. But it's not. It's waiting. And I think it's listening. New message. No name. No location. Do not speak. Do not make noise. I cut the mic. My breath hitches. I don't answer. I don't type. Because now I hear something. A sound I shouldn't be able to hear. A deep, resonating hum. Coming from inside the ice. Growing louder. Stronger. Closer. I grab the radio pack. Sling it over my shoulder. If I have to run, I won't leave it behind. Not now. Not when I'm the last voice left. Because if the others were taken, if the stations disappeared one by one, I need to know why. I need to know what's really happening. And I need to make sure someone, somewhere, still hears it. I take a step toward the door, hand on the handle. The light outside pulses again. And then the ice cracks. A deep, splitting sound. Like the earth itself is tearing apart. Like whatever is beneath us is finally pushing through. And for the first time since this started, I want to stop broadcasting. Because if something hears me, if something knows I'm here, I don't think I'll make it through the night. If you're listening, if you're still out there, tell me if the ice is breaking where you are. Tell me if you hear it too. Because I think this world isn't just freezing. I think it's being replaced. It finally happened. The ice broke. I should have seen it coming. The cracks had been growing for days, spreading like veins under the snow. But I kept telling myself it was nothing. Just pressure. Just cold. I was wrong. The sound tore through the night. A deep, splitting rupture that sent vibrations through the ground. The walls of the station shook. The radio hissed, every frequency buzzing with interference. And outside, the ice wasn't ice anymore. It was water. For the first time in weeks, I saw something I never thought I'd see again. Liquid. Moving. Flowing beneath the surface. But it wasn't just water. It was glowing. That same impossible, unnatural glow. And I swear to you, something was inside it. At first, I thought it was a reflection. Just a trick of the light. But then the water rippled. And I saw it shift. Something long, something dark, something alive. I backed away from the window, heart pounding, breath fogging in the air. Because now I knew the truth. The ice wasn't just covering the world. It was keeping something contained. A seal. A barrier. And we were never supposed to break through. New message. No name. No location. Do not look into the water. Too late. I already did. And now I can't unsee it. The way the shapes twisted beneath the surface. The way they moved in patterns. Like they were watching me. Like they were waiting. And then the radio cut out. Not static. Not silence. Just a low, vibrating hum. Not random. Not interference. A pattern. Something speaking. Something calling back. And I think the ice was never the enemy. I think it was our last defense. If you're still listening, if you're still alive, tell me if you've seen the cracks too. Tell me if the ice is melting. Because if it is, then this world isn't ours anymore. And maybe it never was. I've spent weeks fighting the cold, trying to survive the ice, the storms, the silence. But now I know the truth. The cold was never the real danger. It was keeping something else at bay. And now, for the first time, the ice has broken. And the water beneath is speaking. The radio isn't dead. It's not static. Not random interference. It's translating something. Something buried deep beneath the ice. Something that has been waiting a long, long time. At first, it was just noise. A low, vibrating hum that made my bones ache, like the air itself was trembling. Then, patterns, repetitions, not speech, not words, but meaning. Something too big, too vast for my mind to hold on to. Something that feels old, older than the ice, older than us. I shouldn't be listening. I know that now, because I think this isn't just a signal. It's a warning. Or worse, an invitation. I step away from the radio, heart pounding. Something is moving in the water outside. Something huge. I can't see it yet. Only the ripples. Only the faint glowing currents shifting in the deep. But I can hear it. And I know it can hear me too. New message. No name. No location. Just 3 words. Do not answer. I shut off the mic. Clench my fists. Because suddenly I understand. The ice wasn't just a seal. It was a prison. A barrier. And now, as it melts, as the cracks spread, as the radio pulls in more of the signal, I realize we've been breaking it open this whole time. If you're listening, if you're still out there, then tell me if the ice is melting where you are. Tell me if you can hear it too. Because I think we've woken something up. And I don't think it's going to let us go. I thought the worst had already happened. The world frozen, the cities buried, the sun a distant memory. I thought all we had left was the silence. But I was wrong. Because now, something is moving beneath the ice. And it isn't waiting anymore. The station shakes. Not from wind. Not from another blizzard. From something deeper. Something pushing against the frozen earth. I hear it before I see it. A sound I can't explain. Not words. Not voices. A groaning, shifting noise that echoes through the ice. Like a mountain breaking apart. Like something old and restless, turning in its sleep. And then, the ice splits. A jagged crack tears through the frozen wasteland outside. And the light beneath, it spills out. I should run. I should barricade the doors, stay inside, act like I didn't see it. But I can't. Because I need to know. I need to understand what's been waiting for us beneath the ice. I grab the radio pack, sling it over my shoulder, step outside. The cold claws at my skin. My breath turns to mist, hanging in the still air. But I don't stop. I move toward the crack, toward the light pulsing from deep below. At first, the water is still. A dark, endless trench. Silent. But then, something stirs. The surface ripples. And I see it. Not a shadow. Not a trick of the mind. Something huge. Something alive. It moves slowly, deliberately, just beneath the surface. A shape too massive to comprehend. A body that stretches too far down to see where it ends. And then, a flicker of motion. A glimpse of something smooth, black, and shifting. Like a whale. Like a leviathan from another time. Only this isn't a creature we've ever known. Because when it lifts its head from the water, there are no eyes, no features that make sense. Only a mass of twisting, shifting tendrils. And a sound. A deep, resonating hum that shakes the air around me. The radio screeches. A high-pitched whine that makes my skull ache. It's like the signal is screaming. Or, number not screaming. Responding. It hears the radio. It knows I'm broadcasting. And now, for the first time, I think it's listening back. I stumble backward. Nearly slip on the ice. The water churns. The shape beneath the surface shifts. And I swear it's coming closer. If you're still out there, if you can hear this, then tell me if the ice is broken where you are too. Because I don't think we're alone anymore. And whatever's been trapped beneath this world, it's finally free. I've spent so long fearing the cold, the storms, the endless ice, the silence. But now I see it wasn't the cold I should have feared. It was what's been waiting beneath it. Because now, something is moving outside. And it's bigger than anything I've ever seen. The lights flicker again. The radio hums. Not the usual static. Not the broken frequencies. This is different. Deeper. A sound I can feel in my chest, pressing into my bones. Like the world itself is vibrating. Like the air is changing. I take a step toward the window. Press my palm against the frost-covered glass. I can't see through it. Not clearly. But I can see a shape. A silhouette. And it's moving. It's too big to be real. Too big to exist. But there it is. A mass of darkness standing where the horizon used to be. Blocking out what's left of the sky. And it's shifting, stretching, unfolding itself from the ice like it's been trapped there for a long, long time. The radio screeches. Then, a burst of sound. Something between a low growl and a deep, resonating hum. It isn't random. It's a call. A signal. Like something trying to reach out. Like something responding to whatever broke the ice open. And then I hear it. A second noise. Farther away. A response. Another shadow answering from beyond the horizon. There's more than one. There's always been more than one. And now they know they're not alone anymore. Now they know the world is theirs again. I turn back to the radio console. My fingers hover over the switch. Should I shut it off? Cut the signal? Or is it too late for that? Because I think they've already heard me. I think they've been listening this whole time. I reach for the mic, press it to my lips, whisper, if you're listening, if you can hear this, tell me if the shadows have reached you too. Because I think the world isn't ours anymore. And we were never meant to survive this. I used to know this place. The streets, the buildings, the way the snow piled up in the alleys. But now I don't recognize anything. Because the ice isn't just melting. It's being replaced. I don't know how long I've been staring out this window. The frost is thick, but I keep wiping it away. Trying to see. Trying to understand. But nothing makes sense anymore. Where there used to be streets, there are ridges. Where there used to be houses, there are spires. Not made of stone, not made of ice. Something else. Something dark and smooth and shifting in the low light. Like it was always beneath us, waiting. And now that the cold has done its job, now that the world is quiet, empty, ready, it's coming back. I thought the ice was burying the past. But now I think it was keeping the future from happening. A future that never belonged to us. The radio crackles. A burst of static, then something deeper. Something slow and rhythmic. A pulse beneath the noise. It's not just a transmission. It's a presence. Something that's been broadcasting long before I ever turned on this mic. Something that's always been here. And now it's getting stronger. Like the closer this world gets to what it's supposed to be, the more it remembers itself. I don't know how long I stand there, how long I watch. But then I see movement. Not the wind shifting the snow, not the flicker of a broken streetlight. Something huge. Something with weight, with form, with purpose. Sliding between those impossible spires. Not human. Not even close. And the worst part, it moves like it knows I'm watching. If you're listening, if you're still out there, tell me if the world is still the same where you are. Because I think I'm looking at something that was never supposed to exist. And I think it's looking back. I've been staring at the ground for too long. Watching the ice shift, the land reshape itself into something I don't understand. But now I've looked up, and I wish I hadn't. Because the sky is wrong. And I don't think it's the same sky we were born under. I was too focused on the ice, too obsessed with the cracks, the things moving beneath them, the spires that weren't there yesterday, the cities that shouldn't exist. I thought that was the worst of it, that whatever was happening was coming from below. But now I know the truth. It's not just the ground that's changing, it's everything. The sun should be here by now. Even through the storms, even through the haze, it should have risen. But the sky is empty. No dawn, no stars. Just a vast, shifting dark. Not black, not like a normal night. It's deeper than that. Like a curtain has been pulled over the world, hiding something we were never meant to see. And behind it, there's movement. I thought the sky was just covered in clouds. That the storms had swallowed the sun, that the cold had erased the light. But that's not what happened. It's not just hiding the stars. It's something else entirely. Something pressing down on us. Like we're inside something we don't understand. The radio buzzes. Not static. Not the usual interference. A new sound. Faint. Distant. Like a voice whispering just beyond the range of human hearing. I turn the volume up. Try to catch it. Try to understand. But it's not in any language I know. It's something else. Something older. Something that was waiting for this moment. And then, the sky flickers. For a split second, I see it. Something beyond the dark. Not space. Not the stars. Something huge. Something twisting and moving above us. A shape that doesn't belong. A structure? A creature? I don't know. But it's closer than it should be. Like it's been hanging over us all this time. Like the sky was never real to begin with. I need you to tell me if the sky still looks normal where you are. Because I think it was never ours to begin with. And now, whatever is behind it is finally showing itself. The world is different now. Not just the ground, not just the ice. Everything. I don't know how much longer I can describe it in ways that make sense. Because nothing about this makes sense anymore. but I'll try. Because if you're still listening, you need to know what's happening. I woke up to silence. Not the kind that comes with the cold. Not the kind that settles when the snow buries everything. This was worse. This was the silence of a world unraveling. The radio was still buzzing, pulsing with that strange hum. The air inside the station was thick, heavy, pressing down on me like a weight I couldn't shake. I sat up, rubbed my hands together, tried to feel something other than the deep ache in my bones. And then I saw it. Through the window, through the frost. The sky was cracking. I don't mean that figuratively. I don't mean the clouds are shifting or breaking apart. I mean there are literal cracks spreading across the sky, like glass fracturing under pressure, like something is pushing against it from the other side. And whatever is back there, it's massive. The light behind the cracks isn't white or blue or golden. It's wrong. A color that shouldn't exist. Like staring into deep water. Too deep to ever find the bottom. Like looking at the edge of a dream you can't wake up from. It pulses, flickers, moves in ways that make my stomach turn. The cracks spread wider, and for a moment, just for a moment, I see something looking through. The land outside is barely recognizable anymore. Where there used to be ice-covered streets, there are deep trenches of liquid, glowing faintly in the dim light. Where there were houses buried beneath snowdrifts, now there are monolithic shapes of smooth, dark material, pushing up from beneath the earth. It's like the world is remembering something older than us. Something that was buried long before we arrived. And now, as the ice melts, as the sky cracks open, it's taking back its shape. The cold isn't the problem anymore. It never was. The cold was just the first step. The first part of something bigger, something deliberate. And now that the ice has done its job, now that it has cleared away everything we built, the real change is beginning. I hear a noise, not from the radio, not from the sky, from the ground. A deep, resonating sound that makes the station vibrate. It's like the earth is shifting beneath me, like something is pulling it apart from the inside. I stumble to the door, press my hand against the wood. It's warm, warm. The first warmth I've felt in weeks, and that terrifies me more than anything else. I open the door, step outside. The air isn't cold anymore. It's thick, humid, heavy with moisture that shouldn't exist in a frozen world. The snow beneath my feet is wet, slushy, collapsing into dark pools of water. And in those pools, in the places where the ice has fully melted, I see shapes moving. Not fish, not anything that belongs here. They have no eyes, no recognizable features. Just long, flowing bodies, shifting just beneath the surface. Like they're testing the new world. Like they're waiting for it to fully change before they rise. And the worst part? I think they've been here before. I think they've been waiting for this. Waiting for us to get out of the way. Waiting for the sky to break. If you're listening, if you're still somewhere out there, tell me, what does the sky look like where you are? Is it cracking too? Is the ice melting? Because if it is, then we're not standing on our world anymore. We're standing on the memory of something else. And I don't think we were ever meant to survive it. I don't know how much time I have left to talk. Not because of the cold, not because of the storms, but because the land itself is shifting beneath my feet. The world isn't stable anymore. It's turning into something else. I stepped outside this morning, or at least what used to be morning. The sky isn't right anymore. It flickers between light and dark, like something is interfering with time itself. Like we're caught in a moment that refuses to move forward. And the land. The land isn't land anymore. The streets are gone. The station used to be on a hill, overlooking a frozen highway. But the highway isn't there now. Neither are the buildings I could still see yesterday. Everything is smooth, featureless. A dark, wet surface that stretches endlessly in all directions. It's warm under my boots, like something beneath it is breathing. I tried walking, tried following where the road used to be. But the deeper I went, the more the land changed. The more it responded. I took 10 steps forward before I noticed. The ground wasn't solid. It wasn't ice. It was something else. A surface that moved when I wasn't looking. Not shaking. Not breaking. Just shifting. Like it was deciding whether or not to hold my weight. I dropped to one knee, pressed my hand against it. The texture was smooth. Too smooth, like polished stone. But it was alive. I felt it. A slow, distant vibration. Like a heartbeat. Not mine. Not human. Something else. Something beneath me. Something stretching across the whole landscape, connecting everything together. I stood up. Looked back toward the station. It was still there. Still standing. But it looked smaller. Like the land around it had grown. Like the station was just a remnant of a world that didn't belong here anymore. Like I was just a reminder of something that was already gone. I don't think the world is ending. I think it's already ended. And I think something else is taking its place. The radio flickers. Not static, not noise. Something new. Something closer. A low, slow sound. Like a whisper moving just beneath the surface of the frequency. Like something trying to form words, but not quite remembering how. I don't respond. I don't speak. Because for the first time, I feel like I'm not alone in this station anymore. Like something is listening. Like something is standing just outside, waiting for me to say the wrong thing. I step away from the mic. Look at the door. The air is warm now. The frost on the walls is melting, dripping onto the floor. And outside, where there used to be nothing but ice, now I see a shape. Something standing on the horizon. Not human. Not even close. And it's watching me. If you're still out there, if you can still hear me, tell me what the ground looks like where you are. Tell me if it's changing. Because I think the ice was never meant to last forever. And whatever comes next, I don't think it was made for us. I don't know how long I've been talking, or if it even matters anymore. Because now, I'm not alone. There's something outside the station. Something standing at the door. And I don't think it's human. The air is thick. The warmth in the room feels unnatural. Not like a fire. Not like heat from a machine. It feels alive. Like the walls are breathing. Like something is exhaling just outside, waiting for me to open the door. I stare at the handle. It hasn't moved. Hasn't turned. But I know. I know something is standing on the other side. The same way you know when someone is watching you from across a room. The same way you can feel a presence, even when there's no sound. I thought the cold would kill me. I thought the silence would drive me insane. But now, I think I'd take either of those over this. Because now, something is trying to get inside. And I don't think I can stop it. I step back, turn to the radio. The frequency is shifting again. Not words, not voices. Just that same low hum, vibrating through the speakers, pressing against my skull. Like a language I was never meant to understand. Like a conversation happening between things I can't see. And then, the handle moves. Not a lot, just a small twitch. A faint click, as if testing the lock. I freeze. My breath catches in my throat, because now I know for sure. It knows I'm here. It knows I'm still talking. It knows I haven't run. And maybe that means I was never meant to. The station shakes. Not from wind, not from another storm, from something deeper. The land beneath me is moving again, reshaping itself. The walls groan. The glass in the windows rattles. And then, a sound. From the other side of the door. Not a knock. Not a voice. Something worse. Something like a breath. A slow, deep inhale. Like whatever's out there is tasting the air inside. Like it's deciding whether or not to come in. If you're listening, if you're still out there, tell me if you're alone. Tell me if you can still lock your doors. Because mine won't hold much longer. And I don't think we were meant to hide from this forever. I didn't hear the door open. I never saw it move. But I know it's inside. Because I'm not alone anymore. The air changes. Thicker. Heavier. Like the room isn't just filled with air anymore. Like something else is breathing with me. I don't turn around. Not yet. I can't. Because if I do, if I see it, then this becomes real. And I don't know if I can handle that. The radio buzzes softly. The same frequency. Humming, shifting, pushing against my mind like it's trying to sink inside. But now it's layered with something else. Something wet. Something low and deliberate. Like a voice, but wrong. Like something trying to imitate speech, but not understanding how. I force myself to move, to take one step toward the mic. I reach for the transmitter. I need to keep talking. I need to tell someone what's happening. But the moment my fingers touch the metal, I hear it. A noise. Right behind me. A slow, deep shift. Like flesh moving over wet stone. Like something pressing against the walls of reality, pushing its way through. And then, a voice. Not loud. Not even a whisper. But right next to my ear. A sound that isn't human. That was never human. But somehow, it knows my name. I don't think I was ever broadcasting it to people. Not anymore. I think something else was listening. And now, it doesn't need the radio to reach me. The room feels smaller. Like the walls are closing in. Like the station itself isn't a place anymore, but a space. A piece of something else. Something that's been waiting to pull me through. I take a breath. Close my eyes. Then I turn around. And for the first time, I see it. I can't describe it. Not in a way that makes sense. It's not a person. Not an animal. It's a presence. A shadow that isn't a shadow. It has weight, but no form. A shape that shifts, flickers. Almost like static on an old television. Where a face should be. There's just emptiness. Not darkness. Not a void. Something worse. Something that looks back at me, without eyes, without a mouth, but with complete understanding. Like it knows me. Like it's always known me. Like I was always meant to see it. The radio crackles violently. The whole station shakes. And then I hear it. A voice. My voice. Not coming from my mouth. Not coming from the speakers. But from it. Speaking my own words back to me. The same things I've said for weeks. Like it's been memorizing them. Like it's been waiting for me to hear myself speak from somewhere else. Somewhere I don't belong. If you're listening, if you can still hear me, tell me if you've seen them too. Tell me if they've stepped inside. Because I don't think they need the cold anymore. I think they're already here. I'm still here. Still breathing. Still talking. But I don't think it's my voice on the radio anymore. And I don't know how long it's been this way. The station is silent. The The kind of silence that presses down on you, that makes you feel like something is listening. Something just beyond the walls. Something that hasn't moved, but hasn't left either. I don't turn around. Not yet. I can't. Because if I do, if I see it again, then this isn't just a nightmare, then it's real. The radio crackles. Not like before. Not static. Something else. A voice. At first I think it's mine. The same tone, the same rhythm. But the words aren't right. The ice is breaking. The sky is open. The world is remembering itself. And we were never part of it. I grip the edge of the console. My knuckles turn white, because I never said that. Those words never left my mouth. They were just there, broadcasting in my voice. Like the radio is speaking on its own. Like something inside it is using me. I thought I was alone in here. I thought I was the only one left talking. But I don't think I'm talking anymore. I think I'm just listening now. I reach for the switch. I should turn it off, cut the transmission, shut it down. But my fingers freeze. I can't. Not because I don't want to, because something is stopping me. Like my body isn't mine anymore. Like the station isn't just a station anymore. Like it's become part of something else. I hear a click. The mic turns on by itself. And then the voice speaks again. Clear. Calm. But it's not me. It's never been me. And now, I think it wants you to listen. If you're still there, if you can still hear me, tell me what the radio is saying where you are. Because I think it's been speaking for a long time. And we just never knew how to listen. I'm still here. The radio is still working. But I think I've been looking at all of this the wrong way. This isn't about something taking over the signal. This isn't about something trying to replace my voice. This is about what's coming next. I took a step outside again. I don't know why. Curiosity? Desperation? Maybe it's because, for the first time in a long time, the cold doesn't feel like the biggest threat anymore. Maybe I thought if I could see the world with my own eyes instead of through a frozen window, I'd understand it. I was wrong. Everything is still shifting. The streets, the land, the ice. They don't look like ruins anymore. They don't look like anything we built. The highways have sunk into the new ground. The skyscrapers are barely visible. Their peaks swallowed by something growing over them. The sky, that broken reflection of what it used to be, flickers in and out of focus. Like it's unstable. Like it's still deciding what it wants to be. And then, in the distance, I see them. Not people. Not animals. Not whatever I thought was trapped beneath the ice. There's something else. Something older. Something that's been waiting. They don't move like us. They don't stand like us. But I know somehow, they're not new. They're not visitors. This is their world. They're just taking it back. I step back toward the station, heart pounding, breath shaking. Because now I understand. The radio isn't being hijacked. It isn't being corrupted. It's being tuned. The frequency I've been using. It was never just a broadcast. It was a signal, a beacon, a reminder to something long buried that it was time to wake up. And I was the one keeping it alive. I was the one calling them back. I don't think I was meant to be a survivor. I think I was meant to be a witness, to speak into the cold until the world was ready to change. And now that it has, I don't know what happens next. The radio crackles softly. The hum is fading. Not because it's stopping. Because it doesn't need to be heard anymore. Because whatever was listening is already here. And it doesn't need the radio to speak. If you're listening, if you can still hear this, then tell me what your world looks like now. Because I think mine isn't mine anymore. And maybe it never was. I think this is the last night. Not because I'm dying, not because I've given up, but because there's nothing left to fight. The cold was never the enemy. The silence was never empty. The world didn't die. It just became something else. And now I have to decide if I can live in it. I haven't spoken in hours. Not into the radio, not to myself. Just listened. Not to the hum, not to the frequencies, to the world outside. Because now that the storms have settled, now that the cracks have stopped spreading, the new world has started breathing, and I needed to hear it. The sky isn't falling anymore. It's open. Not to stars. Not to the things we used to know. To something else. A light that doesn't shine. A horizon that doesn't end. Like I'm standing at the edge of a dream I was never meant to wake up from. I stepped outside. Not to run. Not to fight. Just to see. The cold is gone. Or maybe I've just stopped feeling it. The ice is melting. Not into water. Into something darker. Something that doesn't reflect light the way it should. Like the ground itself is turning into a memory of what it used to be. Like it's rewriting itself in front of me. And I can't stop watching. The figures in the distance are closer now. Still slow. Still deliberate. Still unbothered by me. Like I'm not a threat. Like I'm not even relevant. Just another thing that lived here once. Something to be swept away with the rest of the past. I thought I was surviving. I thought I was holding on. But maybe I was just delaying the inevitable. Maybe I was always supposed to step aside. Maybe all of us were. I turned back toward the station. It's still standing, but it looks wrong. Like a piece of the old world that refuses to crumble. Like a monument to something long gone. I take a breath, step inside, turn the mic back on. Because if this is the last night, if this is the last time I speak into this radio, I need to say something worth remembering. Even if there's no one left to hear it. If you're out there, if there's still someone, somewhere, listening, then maybe this isn't the end. Maybe this is just the end for us. Maybe the world was never meant to be ours forever. And now, it's just taking itself back. I used to think the world was ending. That the storms, the ice, the silence, were all leading to some final moment. But now I see it wasn't an ending. It was just a transition. Something bigger was always coming. And now it's here. The only question left is whether I stay to see it. I sit in front of the microphone. The radio hums softly. Not static, not interference. Just a low vibration, constant, endless, like the pulse of something alive. The sound has been there since the ice first cracked, since the world started to shift. And now that I understand what's happening, now that I know I was never broadcasting into an empty world, I wonder if this wasn't a radio signal at all, but something else. A conversation I was never supposed to be part of. The land has changed completely now. What little was left of the old world is fading. The ice has turned into something I don't recognize. It doesn't melt into water. It dissolves. Like memory being wiped away. Like something making room for what comes next. I stepped outside one last time. Not to run. Not to fight. Just to see. Because if this is the last thing I do, I want to witness it. I want to know what we've been replaced by. The horizon is unrecognizable. The sky doesn't move the way it used to. It bends, stretches, like it's not an atmosphere anymore, but something with depth. Like we're inside something. Or maybe we always were. And we're just now realizing it. The figures are closer now. Their movements are deliberate, slow, effortless. They don't walk. They glide. They shift like they exist between layers of reality. They don't acknowledge me. Not as a threat. Not as anything. And that scares me more than anything else. Because if I was something important, something that mattered, they'd notice me. They'd stop me. But they don't. Because I'm not. Because I was never part of this world to begin with. The radio is still on. The microphone is still working. But I think it doesn't matter anymore. Because the new world doesn't need words. It doesn't need stories. It just exists. I glance at the radio dial, turn it slowly. The static fades. The hum remains. And then, a voice. Not mine. Not human. Something distant, layered, impossible. Not a message. Not a warning. Just a statement. Like a fact being spoken into the universe. And somehow, I understand it. There was never an end. Only a return. I stare at the mic, at the transmission light, still glowing. And I realize, this was never for us. This world was never meant to last forever. We were just a pause. A moment between what came before and what comes after. And now we're moving aside. If you're still listening, if anyone is still listening, then maybe you already know. Maybe you've already seen what I've seen. Maybe you've already accepted it. That we were never alone. That the ice wasn't just a disaster. That it was a process. A reset. And now, it's complete. I don't think there's anything left to save. Not the cities, not the people, not even the sky. And I don't know if I should be afraid. Because what's left, it doesn't need us anymore. It never did. I don't know how long I've been awake. Time doesn't exist here the way it used to. The sky doesn't change. The sun never rises. The cold isn't cold anymore. It's something else. Something that feels like it was always meant to be here. And we weren't. The station is still standing. For now. But I can tell it won't be for much longer. Not because of collapse. Not because of decay. Because it doesn't belong. Because the new world doesn't need it. Just like it doesn't need me. I walked outside again. The ground isn't solid anymore. It moves under my feet like liquid, but it holds me up. I think it's trying to decide if I still belong here. I don't think I do. The figures are closer now. They aren't moving toward me. They aren't acknowledging me at all. They don't need to. Because I'm not part of what's coming. Because I was always meant to disappear with the rest of the old world. The radio crackles. The signal shifts. Not static, not interference, just silence. A silence that feels deliberate, like it's waiting for me to say something. Or maybe it's waiting for me to stop. I don't know how much longer I'll be broadcasting. Not because I'm giving up. Not because I'm dying. Because I don't think my voice belongs in this world anymore. Because I don't think this world even needs words. It just is. The station groans. The walls shift. The edges of the building blur, like it's sinking into something I can't see. Like it's being absorbed into whatever this world is becoming. And I wonder, will I be next? I step back inside, sit down in front of the mic, place my hands on the console. It feels different now, like it's not even there. Like I'm just pressing my hands against air, against a memory of what used to be here, against something that was never permanent. If you're listening, if anyone is still listening, then maybe this is the last time you'll hear me. Maybe the world has already moved on without us, and and maybe that's okay. I woke up to silence. Not the dead silence of the frozen world. Not the howling quiet of the storms. This was different. It was complete. Like the world had finally settled into what it was always meant to be. Like I was waking up in a place that had no memory of me. I sit up slowly. My body feels lighter. Not weak, not tired, just unanchored. Like I'm not tied to this place anymore. Like the world doesn't care if I stay or go. And for the first time since the ice came, I don't know if I want to keep holding on. The station is fading. I don't mean it's collapsing. I don't mean it's falling apart. It's just less here. The walls don't feel solid. The radio console looks like a shadow of itself. I press my hand against the table. And for a moment, my fingers go through it. Like it's already somewhere else. Like I'm already somewhere else. The world outside is finished changing. It's no longer becoming something new. It already is. And I don't think it needs me in it. I stand up, walk toward the door. There's no ice anymore. No snow. Just a landscape that stretches forever, smooth and endless, reflecting a sky that I can't understand. It doesn't feel wrong. It doesn't feel dangerous. It just feels like it was always here. And I was always just a visitor. The radio crackles. I turn back to it. My last tie to the world I knew. It's still broadcasting. Still carrying my signal across whatever remains of this place. But now I don't know if there's anyone left to hear it. Or if I'm just talking to ghosts. If you're listening, if there's still anyone out there, then I need to ask you one thing. Are you still holding on? Or have you let go? Because I think it's time for me to decide. I always thought survival was the goal. That if I could just hold on long enough, if I could just keep the radio running, keep my voice going, I'd make it through. But now I see it was never about surviving. It was about choosing. Choosing to hold on to what was, or choosing to step into what comes next. I stand at the edge of the station. 1 foot inside, 1 foot outside. The line between what's left of the old world and the new one. The air isn't cold anymore. It isn't warm, either. It's just different. Like stepping into a room that was never meant for you. Like walking into a place where your name doesn't exist. I glance back at the radio. The signal is still live, still broadcasting. But now I wonder, who is it broadcasting to? The people who were left? Or the things that were always here? Or maybe it's just broadcasting to nothing. An echo of a world that's already gone. A memory that refuses to let go. I could stay. I could sit here, keep talking. Keep pretending that someone, somewhere, is still listening. But the longer I stand here, the more I realize that staying doesn't mean surviving. Staying means being trapped. Staying means becoming a part of the past. I take a step forward, onto the new ground. It doesn't feel wrong. It doesn't feel like ice, or stone, or earth. It feels like nothing at all. Like standing on the edge of a dream. Like the world is waiting for me to take another step. I look up. The sky is open. Not empty. Not dark. Just different. Shapes move slowly in the distance. Not people. Not animals. Not anything I have words for. But I know. Somehow. They belong here. They were always meant to be here. And I wasn't. I think I was never supposed to last this long. I think I was supposed to be gone with everything else. But somehow I stayed. Somehow I kept talking. And now I have to decide what to do with that. I take one last look at the station. at the radio, at the chair I sat in for so long, waiting for a response that never came. And I ask myself, does it even matter anymore? The radio crackles softly. Not words, not static, just a hum, a quiet, unspoken message. Maybe an invitation, maybe a farewell, maybe just the last sound I'll ever hear from the old world. I turn back to the new horizon, take a deep breath, and I decide, if you're still listening, then maybe you've already made your choice. Maybe you're still holding on, or maybe you've already stepped forward. Either way, I think this is where I stop talking. This is where I see what's waiting on the other side. This is where I let go. I don't know how I'm still standing. I don't know how I'm still breathing, because my body should have given up a long time ago. But something keeps pushing me forward. Something keeps telling me that if I stop, I won't start again. The cold is worse now. Not just on my skin, not just in my bones. It's in my blood. Like the frost isn't just around me anymore. It's inside me, spreading, slowing everything down. I can barely feel my fingers. Even with layers of gloves, fabric, whatever I could find. I move them in front of my face, trying to flex them. Trying to remember what warmth felt like. But they're stiff. Like wood. Like something that doesn't belong to me anymore. I haven't eaten in 2 days. Or maybe 3. I don't know anymore. The hunger used to be unbearable. It used to keep me awake, clawing at my stomach. But now it's gone. And that scares me more than anything else. They say hunger means you're still alive. That as long as your body is screaming for food, for warmth, for something, it means you haven't given up yet. But now there's nothing. Just a dull emptiness. Like my body has already accepted that there's nothing left for it. Like it's waiting for the rest of me to catch up. The station is colder than it should be. Even with the walls, the insulation, the few heat sources I have left. I'm wrapped in 3 coats, 2 scarves, layers of socks. It doesn't help. The cold sinks through everything. Like it's not just the temperature anymore. Like the world itself is rejecting warmth. Like it's trying to erase everything that doesn't belong in its new reality. I sit in front of the radio. My breath comes out in small, white clouds. I hold my hands near the tiny flame I managed to start in an old metal can. It flickers weakly, barely holding on. Like me. I used to dream about food. About hot soup, about fresh bread, about anything other than the half-frozen rations I found in the storage room. But now, I don't dream at all. The sleep is too deep. Like I'm sinking into something I won't wake up from. And maybe that wouldn't be so bad. I force myself to stand, to move, to push the chair back and step toward the door. Because if I sit still for too long, if I let the weight of this place settle on me, I won't get back up. And I don't want to die sitting down. I don't want to fade away like the station is fading. The wind howls outside. I can hear the ice shifting, groaning under its own weight, like the world is stretching in its sleep, like it's adjusting to something new. And I wonder, how many others are left to hear it? How many people are still out there, buried in shelters, frozen in cars, trapped in places that used to be safe? How many people made it this far, only to realize there's nowhere left to go? I don't know why I'm still talking. I don't know why I'm still trying. Maybe because it's the only thing left to do. Maybe because if I stop speaking, then the silence finally wins. And I don't want the silence to win. I grip the edge of the door. My body protests. The cold claws at my joints. I shouldn't go outside. It's suicide. But staying here, it doesn't feel like living either. And I need to know. I need to see what's left. I open the door. The wind slams into me like a wall. A deep, biting cold that steals the breath from my lungs. It shouldn't be this bad. Not with the storms gone. Not with the sky so still. But the world isn't playing by the old rules anymore. This isn't just weather. This is something else. I step onto the frozen ground. The ice creaks beneath my boots. It feels thinner than before. Not weak. Not like it'll break. Just like it isn't meant to hold me anymore. Like it's trying to push me forward. To keep me moving. To keep me from stopping. And suddenly, I realize what's happening. The world is changing, but it's not forcing me to go with it. It's giving me a choice. To step forward, or to be left behind. And I don't know which one scares me more. Every step forward feels like a mistake. Like I'm walking into something I was never meant to see. Like the ground beneath me doesn't belong to me anymore. And yet, I keep going. Because if I stop, the cold wins. And if the cold wins, then I was never really alive to begin with. The wind bites at my face. It's not just cold. It's hungry. Like it's pulling the warmth out of me, dragging pieces of me away one gust at a time. My coat is heavy. The layers are thick. But it doesn't matter anymore. The cold isn't something I can fight. It's part of the world now. It's woven into every breath, every heartbeat, every sound. And I don't think it'll ever go away. I haven't seen the sun in weeks. I don't know if it's still up there. The sky isn't a sky anymore. It's something else. Something that stretches too far. Something that bends at the edges like it's trying to wrap itself around the land. And if that's true, if the sky itself is different, then maybe I'm not on Earth anymore. Maybe none of us are. The horizon shifts. Not suddenly. Not violently. But gradually. Like the land is breathing beneath the ice. Like it's alive. The buildings that were once buried in the snow. They're almost gone now. Not crumbled. Not destroyed. Just dissolving. Like the world is erasing everything that doesn't belong. I don't know if I belong here anymore. If I ever did. If we ever did, I keep walking. The road isn't a road anymore. It's just a stretch of frozen nothingness. A path that leads forward, but not toward anything I recognize. No signs, no landmarks, just the endless white. I check my radio pack. The battery is low. The signal is weak. I've been broadcasting for so long that I don't even know if anyone is still out there to hear me. But I keep talking anyway. Because talking means I'm still here. Because if my voice stops, then I stop too. If you're listening, if anyone is still out there, tell me what you see. Tell me if your world is still holding on, or if it's slipping away like mine is. Because I think the past is fading. And I don't know if there's anything left to save. The wind shifts. A sound echoes through the air. Not the wind, not the ice. Something else. Something deep. Something distant. And suddenly I know. I'm not alone. Not out here. Not anymore. I thought I was the last one. I thought the world had emptied itself of everything but the cold. But I was wrong. Something is out here with me. And I don't know if it's been following me this whole time, or if I just stepped into its territory. But I feel it. I hear it. And it knows I'm here. The sound comes again. A deep, low resonance that moves through the air like a pulse. Not a voice, not an echo. Something alive. Something that doesn't belong to the old world. Something that never left when everything else did. I stop walking, turn my head slowly, wind whips past me, dragging frozen air against my skin. My breath hangs in front of me, a thin, white cloud. And in the distance, I see it. At first, I think it's just another ruined building, just another piece of the past sticking out from the snow like a broken tooth. But then it moves, just slightly, just enough to let me know it isn't stone. It isn't ice. It's something else. It's tall, much taller than me. Its shape is wrong, shifting, like it doesn't know what it's supposed to be. Like it's trying to decide if it should stay hidden or step into view. And then it does. It steps forward, not walking, not gliding, just moving, like the world adjusts to let it through, like the snow parted before it even took a step, like it was always meant to be here, and I was always meant to see it. The radio crackles on my back. I don't touch it. I don't even breathe, because now I know. This isn't a hallucination. This isn't the cold playing tricks on my mind. This is real, and it's looking right at me. If you're listening, if there's still someone out there, tell me. Tell me if you've seen them too. Tell me if you're alone, or if something is watching you from the ice. Because I don't think I'm the only one left anymore. And I don't think I ever was. I should run. I should turn back, go inside, lock the door, pretend I never saw it. But I don't move. Because something about this thing in the snow, it's not just looking at me. It's recognizing me. It doesn't have eyes. Not in any way I understand. But I know it sees me. Knows I'm here. Knows I've been here. And worse, it acts like it's seen me before. The wind moves around it, like it's part of the world. Like it belongs to the ice in a way I never have. Its shape shifts slightly, bending with the storm, but not against it. Like the storm is part of it. Like it's breathing with the earth. And for the first time in a long time, I feel small. Not just cold, not just tired. Small. Like a child standing in front of something older than words. Older than fire. Older than us. It doesn't come closer. It doesn't need to. Because it knows something I don't. And I think it's waiting for me to realize it. The radio crackles on my back. At first, I think it's just static. Just the old familiar hum that's been following me for days. But this time, there's something in it. Something just below the sound. Something I can't quite understand. But I know what it is. I know what it means. It's not a message. It's not a warning. It's a memory. And it's mine. Suddenly, I remember. The first time I turned on this radio. The first time I sent my voice into the frozen world, hoping someone would hear me. The first time I spoke into the silence and thought it was empty. I was wrong. It was never empty. Something was always listening. And now, it's standing in front of me. I don't know what it wants. I don't know what it's waiting for. But I think it knows me. And I think I was always meant to find it. The figure shifts again. The air around it warps, bends, stretches. Like it's not just here. Like it's between places. Between worlds. And for the first time, I wonder, is this what comes next? Is this what we become when the old world is gone? Is this what waits beyond the ice? If you're listening, if you can still hear this, tell me if you've seen them too. Because I don't think they're coming for us. I think they've always been here. And I think they're just waiting for us to understand why. It's not leaving. And neither am I. The thing in the snow, it doesn't chase me. It doesn't threaten me. It's just there. Watching. Waiting. Like it's offering me something. Like I have a choice. The wind howls around us. Not like before. Not sharp and biting. This wind is different. Heavier. Slower. Like the world itself is holding its breath. Like everything is waiting for me to decide. I don't know what it wants, but I know what it doesn't want. It doesn't want to kill me. It doesn't need to, because the cold would have done that a long time ago. No, this is something else. Something older than death. Something waiting for me to understand. I take a step forward. Not because I want to, not because I have to, because I need to know. Because if I walk away now, I'll never get another chance. Because the world is ending, and I need to see what comes next. The figure doesn't move. It doesn't react. It just waits. And I realize this is my decision, not its. The world has already changed. The past is already gone. The only thing left is what I choose to do with it. I reach for the radio on my back. The signal is still live, still transmitting, still speaking into a world that doesn't exist anymore. And I wonder, do I let go? Do I stop talking? Do I let the new world take me? If you're still listening, then maybe you've already made your choice. Maybe you're still holding on. Or maybe you've already stepped forward. I think that's what this thing is offering me. A choice. To stay in the past. Or to become something else. Something new. The figure shifts. The air around it bends. And suddenly, I understand. The world is silent. Not the kind of silence that comes from absence. From emptiness. This is something deeper. A silence that feels deliberate. Like the world itself is waiting for my answer. And the thing in the snow, it's waiting too. The cold gnaws at my skin. I can feel the weight of frost pressing into my bones, slowing my breath, making each step harder. My coat is thick, my gloves layered, but it doesn't matter. The cold is inside me now. It's in my veins, in my lungs, in the slow ache behind my eyes. It's becoming part of me. And I think it's always been leading to this. I never questioned why I survived, why the cold took everything else but left me standing. Why, out of everyone, I was the one still talking. But now, I wonder, was I chosen? Or did I just refuse to let go? The figure doesn't move. It just watches. If watching is even the right word. It doesn't have eyes. It doesn't have a face. It's just there, shaped like something half-remembered, something forgotten in the ice. And I realize it's not waiting for me to fear it. It's waiting for me to accept it. The radio crackles. A soft, familiar hum. I turn up the volume. At first, it's just static. But then, a voice. My voice. Speaking back to me. Not an echo. Not a recording. Something else. Something that remembers. You kept talking. You wouldn't stop. And now, the world is listening. I feel it then. The weight of everything. The cold. The silence. The understanding. I was never meant to survive this. Not in the way I thought. Not as a remnant of the past. Not as something clinging to the old world. This isn't death. This is something else. Something older. Something deeper than just survival. And I have to choose. I look down at my hands. The frost creeping over my gloves. The way the cold doesn't feel like pain anymore. I close my eyes. Take a breath. And I know. The choice was never about whether I lived or died. It was about whether I moved forward. Whether I let the past go. Whether I became part of what's coming next. The figure shifts. The air around it warps, bends, distorts like a mirage. Like reality itself is thin here. Like I could step through it if I wanted to. And I think that's what it wants me to do. Not to die, not to suffer, but to change, to become something that belongs here. If you're listening, if you're still out there, tell me if you're still holding on, because I think I'm ready to let go. Not to disappear, not to end, but to become something else. Because the world isn't ours anymore, and maybe it never was. I take the step, not because I want to, not because I have to, but because there's nothing else left to do. Because the past is already gone, and the future is waiting for me to decide. The ice beneath me is different now. Not slick, not brittle. It doesn't feel like something frozen in time. It feels like something waking up. Like I'm walking on the surface of a world that's just begun to breathe. And with each step, I can feel it recognizing me. Not as a survivor, not as a remnant, as something new. The figure doesn't move. It doesn't need to, because I understand now. This isn't an invitation. This isn't a demand. This is a transition. One that's been happening all along. I was just too blind to see it. I thought I was surviving. I thought I was fighting. But I was just delaying the inevitable. This world doesn't need to be fought for. It's already won. And now, I need to decide if I want to be part of it. I stop walking. The air is different here. Not thin, not heavy, just new. Like it hasn't been breathed before. Like I'm the first human to step into a world that was never meant for me. And I wonder, how many others have stood right here, right on the edge, and made their choice? How many chose to let go? How many fought it and faded away instead? How many walked forward and became something else? The radio is still on, still transmitting, still carrying my voice through the last echoes of the old world. But I don't think it's my voice anymore. Not really. I think I've already started changing. And maybe that's okay. The figure tilts its head. Not a command, not a demand, just a gesture. Like it's waiting for me to finish understanding. Like it's telling me the choice was never between life and death. It was between what I was and what I could become. I take one last look at the radio on my back. The signal is stronger than ever. Not because there are more listeners, not because the equipment is working better, because the world is listening now, because I am part of it now. If you're still out there, if you're still listening, then maybe you haven't made your choice yet. Maybe you're still holding on, or maybe you're standing at the edge, just like me. And if you are, then I hope you know there's nothing left to fear. I always thought the ice was the enemy. The storms, the silence, the hunger, the cold. But I was wrong. The ice wasn't the end of the world. It was the world remembering itself. And now, I remember too. I keep walking. Not because I'm brave. Not because I have nowhere else to go. But because I finally understand what this was all leading to. The figure doesn't move. It doesn't need to. Because I'm the one who's changing now. I feel it in my bones, in my breath, in the way the cold doesn't bite like it used to. I feel lighter, not weaker, not fading, just less human. And that's not a bad thing. Not anymore. I thought we were meant to survive this. That if we could just hold on, just outlast the storms, we could rebuild. But now I see it. We weren't supposed to rebuild anything. We were supposed to make room for what came next. I look down at my hands. They don't shake from the cold anymore. They don't ache from hunger. They feel like part of this world. Like the ice has accepted me. Like I was never supposed to resist it. And suddenly, I wonder, How many others have walked this path before me? How many thought they were the last survivors, the final voices, the only ones left? How many made the same choice I'm about to make? I step forward. I don't hesitate anymore. Because this is what I was always meant to do. Not to die. Not to fight. But to change. The radio on my back is still broadcasting. Still sending my voice into the empty world. But I don't know if it sounds like me anymore. The words are mine. The voice is mine. But there's something else beneath it now. Something older. Something that's been waiting for a very long time. And I wonder, if someone is listening on the other side of the world, will they even recognize me anymore? Or will I sound like something else? Something new? I don't think I was meant to be a survivor. I think I was meant to be a messenger. To speak into the storm until the world was ready to listen again. And now that it is, I don't need the words anymore. Because the world understands me now. And I understand it. The figure finally moves. Not toward me. Not away. Just around me. Like a wave. Like a shadow. Like a memory of something I can't quite name. And I move with it. Because I'm not afraid anymore. Because I know what comes next. The radio crackles. A long, slow wave of static. And then, silence. A low hum. A flicker of sound. Then, nothing. Just the empty airwaves. The radio station stands empty. The chair where the broadcaster once sat is still there. The microphone is on. But there's no voice. No message. Just the wind outside, whispering through the frozen world. And somewhere, far beyond the ice, something new has begun.